Okay, with the filmmaking team of THREEDOM, interesting name. Well, we'll get to it in a second. Garrett Hopkins is the writer director, and then
Mal-
Melvia, right?
Malia.
Melia. Sorry, I
No, it's
just
all
want to
good.
say that these guys were so grateful that I had a little bit of computer issues, and they waited 40 minutes for me to sign on. So I really appreciate it. So, Garrett, I was reading your blog interview, and it said that you did this film in 2 weeks, meaning that you came up with the concept, you wrote it, you directed it, you edited it in 2 weeks. Tell us how that was. How did you possibly do that?
So it sounds challenging, and of course it is challenging. But I've done so many 48s where you do the same thing but in just 2 days.
Yeah.
So having 2 weeks was actually a huge plus because I'm so used to writing a script, filming it, editing it all in just 2 days. So the CFC, which is the same thing but 2 weeks, it was, dare I say, easy just because I'm so used to the other shorter form contest.
So what is it? This was a contest of some kind?
Yes, so it was shot in 2023, 24.
That
We
was
just
last
did it.
year.
Yes,
It was literally
2024. It's for a contest called the CFC Collaborative Filmmakers Challenge. It's
Okay.
a 2 week film competition, and when you show up on the very first day, they just give you a prompt, and every year they use a quote as the prompt. So this past year, it was a quote from Hunter Thompson, and the quote was, "Freedom is something that dies if it isn't used." So that's the only prompt we had, and we built the story around that prompt. We had 2 weeks to do it, so we used like the first 4 days going through different writing processes, throwing ideas out for a script, casting, finding locations, which is again really great because we have all this extra time, whereas I'm so used to doing 48-hour
Yeah.
challenges.
So you're spoiled, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spoiled with the extra weekend.
Yeah.
So where is the Collaborative Filmmakers Challenge?
Oh,
What city is that in?
so it's nationwide. It's based in LA, but it's open to everybody.
Okay. Are you
You
guys in
can,
LA?
yeah, we're in LA.
Yes, yes.
All right. Well, the obvious question is, how's everybody doing? Everybody okay with the fires?
I mean, at least we are very
So
lucky. Yeah.
we're both in the valley, so we're far enough away that we haven't needed to evacuate, but
Okay.
bags are packed just in case.
Yeah.
My work is closed out of caution, so I've been out of work for 2 weeks, so that's always a downside. But I have coworkers who lived in the fire zones and they had to evacuate and they lost their homes, so
Yeah.
I'm grateful to be in the valley, I
It's been a
guess.
very
No,
weird week in Los Angeles.
how about yourself?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I am also in the valley. We live literally like 5 minutes apart. So, and I mean, for myself, again, it's not affected the valley too
Yeah.
poorly, which is great. But yeah, it's been an interesting week. It's been a lot of
Yeah,
like
and very concerning for the family members. I've had everything under call me and asking
every
me about my
day.
day, and being like I'm from Ohio, so I'm as far away as possible almost,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
family don't always love how far away we are. So seeing the earthquakes, the fires, all the chaos makes them want to like bring you back to your home
Yeah.
state. I've been
Somewhat familiar of the area, and it's like I was looking at the map, and the valley is very much far. It's much south than where the fires are happening, I guess, right?
Oh, we should be specific. So, we're more San Fernando Valley. So if the fires are here and here, we're directly in between them.
yes, we
Oh,
are literally surrounded by all the fires.
Yeah, we're
But
surrounded by them, but we're not directly in them right at this moment.
yeah,
Gotcha. All right, let's get to some happy things. So, Freedom, which is about a relationship that, and you're one of the lead actors in the film, is about like there's trouble in the relationship and bringing on a third partner. And I've always believed that threes are always bad in relationships, but that's my theory. At least the friendships, it's always like a even number is good. Sometimes when it's an odd number, there's more conflict. But the way you have the title is three dumb, so basically it's kind of a positive title. So tell me about the idea for this film.
Hmm.
so I guess a short way of saying it is that each film I do, I want to go into it doing something new, and I haven't done a rom-com before. So when we got our quote, one of the writers I usually work with, he was with me the first day. We just threw out 20 different ideas, put it on the wall, and then chose the ideas that were best fitted, flushed them out a little bit, and we landed on this one, which is about a couple. I think it's pretty relatable for a lot of people, whether your personal life or friends you know, to be in a relationship for 3, 4, 5 years, and then they're not sure why they're still in their relationship. They're just comfortable.
Yeah.
And it was in the quote is about freedom, and if you don't use your freedom, the freedom goes away. So it was her character's idea to just open the relationship. We're both, in the film, they're in dead end jobs, they're broke. Every aspect
They're
of
in their 20s.
they're in their 20s.
Yeah, they're
Like,
in their 20s.
every aspect of their life has just been stalled into a stalemate, and
Yeah.
it was their idea to just open a relationship to bring in something new. It's possible it goes wrong and it doesn't work out like you have expressed, but
No,
it was
I'm just like that's
it's
like
possible.
I could be wrong, right? So everybody at the same time, everybody's an individual. Everybody's got their own way of doing things, right?
Yeah, and it was mainly just a leap of faith of this is great. We love each other. We're both kind of bored. Maybe a new thing could light a new fire and could grow. So they took that chance, and then it worked in the film.
Yeah. It worked in Vicky Christine Barcelona, right? So I've never seen that movie before. So have you? No?
Oh, I have not.
No.
What,
But now
what-
it's on the list. Now we gotta know what it means. Yeah, now I gotta know it.
Here, let me type that down. I'll look it up
Vicky,
later.
did you say Vicky Christie Barcelona?
Yeah, it's a Woody Allen movie.
Right there.
Scarlett Johansson. I think Penelope Cruz won an Oscar for that. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good for her. Okay.
So Melia, I just was looking, I was researching, and you're a writer yourself, correct?
Oh gosh, I am. I do some writing. I am definitely more of a short form writer as well. I think I don't know. I always panic when people ask me this question because I don't think I'm a great writer, but we still make things. So
You just wrote one, right? Isn't that what the most
the
recent
Promises
film?
one?
Yeah.
Yes. I did write one last fall that we ended up shooting and is in the editing process right now, which is actually very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do more acting, I think, than I do writing, but it's fun.
So when you start this project, this 2-week project, you have your team already on board, Garrett? Like you have your like cinematographer, you have your actors, everybody.
So for the most part, a lot of the main roles I had already pre-filled because I work with, like, I have a group of maybe 30 people I'm always working with, and I kind of selected the ones I knew would be free for that two week period for the most part. And a big cheat code is to have your actors pre-chosen beforehand, so there's no script. But I messaged Melia, Bernadette, Gibran months prior. Hey, this 2 weeks, there's going to be a film production in the weekend. Are you free? They all said yes. So while writing the script, I can have them in mind, and I kind of wrote it with their voices in my head. That kind of helped with the writing process.
Yeah, it's always fun though because we get to work together. I mean, we went to college together. We've known each other a very long time, so it's really fun to sort of grow up creating work together and then seeing how that work sort of changes over time. Yeah. And so, especially on my end, like being an actor that you just continuously pull in.
I
Thank
think
you.
one of the first times we met was on set, and she was the stunt coordinator for the stunts I was doing.
This was way back in college, so this is a while ago.
But to answer your question more, there is a twist. The CFC, Collaborative Filmmakers Challenge, the twist is you have to help another team on their production, and another person on another team has to help you on your production. Yep. That's the collaborative part of the challenge. So I had the majority of my cast and crew made, but then I had to have a crew member from some other team come in. So I had a gaffer from somebody else help us. And I think our colorist and our sound composer was from a different team as well.
Wow. Well, I'm assuming those are key roles, especially you're in post-production, your sound person. That's sort of because as you described, like that's a tough thing to pull off quickly, a sound design.
So I gave the composer the script as soon as it was done, and I told him I wasn't 100% sure what kind of sound we're looking for until I can edit it and see what we're looking at. But I told him, while we're shooting the movie, take the script and you just make all the music you think would work. That way, when I go down to edit, I already have stuff I can supplement it with and test out. So we had a head start on it.
But it's also cleaning the dialogue, adding sound effects. Like that's usually a long process. Like doing it quickly is, because
we did a lot of that. We did some ADR in it as well. To
Assuming, yeah, most films have to do an ADR. Like, so, like, cleaning, like having bad sound in a film just like takes the viewer right out of the film, right? So,
Yeah.
And also, like in the planning stages, I plan to have it all done and edited like 4 days early.
yeah,
So we're finished, and then I watch the final cut, and I see a little things that could be tweaked.
yeah,
And there's a few lines where the mic cut out on her acting, so
Yeah.
she came over to this apartment. We ADR'd a few lines, put it in,
yeah,
and that wouldn't be possible if I was editing all the way up to the deadline.
Yeah.
So I gave myself a mental deadline like 3 days earlier.
it's like a budget. You have a contingency, right, for the budget, contingency for time, right?
Yeah.
That's great. So you guys have known each other for a long time. You guys went to in school in Los Angeles. You met in Los Angeles.
No, we went to school at Ohio University, and he used to
wow.
get drunk in my apartment and pass out on the couch. And I'm
Yeah,
gonna
we're-
say that every time someone asks.
The Bobcats.
Go Bobcats.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not Ohio State. It's Ohio University.
Ohio University, Athens,
I'm
Ohio.
sure you get that mixed up. People
Yeah,
mix
yeah.
that up sometimes, right?
Yes,
all the
we
time.
do. I like embarrassing you. It's fun.
It's all good.
But yeah, we've known each other, I guess, since we were, what, 17, 18 years old?
I was probably 19.
19? Okay.
Sophomore year of
Ew,
college.
we still had teen in the
Yeah.
in the age.
Yeah, now we're-
That's in Athens, right? Athens, Ohio.
Yeah, Athens, Ohio. Yep. They've got a shameless plug, a wonderful, wonderful media program, and the best professor in the world, Coop Dog,
Coop
Roger
Dog.
Cooper.
Yep.
Yep.
Is there a rivalry with Ohio State at all? Like, do you guys have like a rivalry or?
I mean,
Not
we have a
really.
rivalry with
Miami, I think.
Miami University.
Yeah,
That's like
Miami.
sporting wise, but
Okay.
Ohio State, at most, if you went to the Ohio State, when you talk to people, you say, "I went to the Ohio State."
Yeah.
Picky about
Yes,
it.
yeah.
They're very picky about the specific V.
As we're doing this podcast, because they have a big football game coming up, right? They're in the finals, the Ohio State.
yeah.
So you guys are Ohio born and bred then.
More or less. I was born there, but I was raised in Florida, so I'm a Florida girl before
Gotcha.
a chaotic little southern state there.
Gotcha. So then you guys met there, and then did you guys reconnected in Los Angeles then?
So I moved to LA maybe 2 years after you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
You weren't here anymore.
I know. So I moved out here in 2019 with perfect timing. It was wonderful. October 2019, right before everybody just, ended up inside. And then he got here 2 years later-ish, but I had moved to London. So we sort of went different directions, and then when I got back from London, that's when we sort of...
And I just showed her my acting reel, and we acted in a music video together. And we shot that right after you came back.
Yep. And that's sort of how we, once again, ended
came
up...
back.
Yeah, we came back together.
Gotcha. So then basically you like doing these projects. Do you like these? You said you did 48-hour films. You did the 2-week challenges. Is it just kind of use like your creative juices? Like you like deadlines? Like it keeps it flowing?
There's two good answers to this. There's two good answers. I did.
The deadline board right there. Big on deadlines, this one.
The two best parts of doing the time trial challenges is number one, we just talked about this earlier, you're forced to finish your movie. I've worked on so many films, passion projects, spec commercials where a team gets together, we work on it, it's great, and then it just gets stuck in like editing limbo and nobody ever finishes it. Or never gets around to finishing and all these millions of problems happen. But at 48, you take off 2 days of work, you're focused, you're in it, you finish a film. So I have multiple finished films that all look great because I was forced to do them in 48 hours. Once you give yourself the open time of, oh, it doesn't matter, we can reschedule this date, we can reschedule this, and then eventually you just never make the film. So one reason I love them is because you're guaranteed to knock it out.
Yeah.
The second reason is
You'll get there.
it forces you to be on your feet, because like the 48, you're given a genre. Maybe I've never shot a documentary before, maybe I've never shot a horror, but you get that genre and now you have to do it. So it gets you out of your comfort zone, doing things you're not used to doing, and that's why I love them. But I also hate them because you can never showcase your best work because you're on that time crunch and trying to find locations and finding actors and their availabilities working at the same time. It's a whole I have a whole to-do list behind me and my New Year's resolutions, and I I've crossed out 48s. I'm not doing any more for 2025. I'll do a CFC again, but I want to do more. So last year I did a bunch of projects, but they were all very fast, quick turnarounds. They looked good, perfect.
Yeah.
So in the new year, I want to do less projects, but bigger and better.
Yeah, totally. But I think you're ready for that, right? Because it's like it's a double-edged sword, meaning that when people submit like a 40-hour film to like say our festivals, we have to watch it from the lens of just the other films, right? So it's not going to be the best quality because it's good, cheap, and fast, right? It's done very, very fast and very cheap, right? So it's like you can't be amazing, but at the same time, it keeps your creative juices flowing. It keeps your filmmaking on your toes, right? All those things. But then at the same time, it's not going to be perfect. So then, what happened during COVID with festivals is that people had time, so all these films started getting done, right? That
Yeah.
were years old.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. But at the same time, we know that the film is never going to be perfect. Even if you spend a year on a short film, it's never going to be exactly what you want, right? So,
Yeah.
I think that's something nice that you do for yourself though, because when he finishes, like when the competition's actually finished, you go back and re-edit
This is true.
to something he actually likes
gotcha.
a
That's
little
fair.
bit more, if that makes
I
sense.
refine it a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you do it with this film as well, or?
Yeah, I think I went back and redid the color on it,
Yeah.
and then I think we did an additional ADR in 2 or 3 scenes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, we went back and did that. And then, yeah, I think it's a cool thing you do with yours, where you actually, you say you take a very small amount of time, but you do revisit it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, I think what stands out with your film, it's executed nicely, but there's a very universal thematic in the story that's occurring that I think a lot of people can relate with, right? So, and it also has that, dare I say, sexy kind of quality to it, meaning that like it's interesting, right? People are interested in those relationships, the kind of films, right?
Yeah.
That are different.
Yeah, I think it's also like, I mean, I don't know, inadvertently you made it actually quite a little sexy film. Like, I mean, also it helps that Aaron and Jabron are just like beautiful humans.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of in amount of the story, not from personal experience, but of my friends and people who have tried relationships, opened or not, and I took some of the crazier stories and just put them into one. So some of the weird dates they go on, or when things don't work out, were to some extent from actual people's.
That makes me wonder. The character you play now makes me wonder whose story that is.
Yeah. The foot guy, I think, was just natural writing. For the most part.
Go on.
That was just a
It's
character, I
fine.
think.
You're good.
Yeah.
But there's a bigger story here too. If you ever want to explore it, I don't know if you thought about it.
Oh, have you?
No, I have not.
No.
I don't think so.
I'd like to hear your opinion on that, actually.
Well, no, I just think like because it's it leads to conflict, right? Meaning that, well, you talked about the beginning where a couple want to bring in, but that person has to be willing. The third person has to be like open-minded enough, or whatever you want to call it, involved or whatever, basically willing to mix in this couple's relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting point of view, having that one person, going into that relationship, right? And following that character around.
Yeah, it could be cool to do the same film, but from the lens of just the third person coming in.
Yeah.
That.
Right. But at the same time, it's like people are petty, or they're jealousy, or people have different emotional intelligence or emotional capability, especially when you're in your 20s. So who's going to crumble first like in terms of jealousy, like from a sexual standpoint, right? So
I think out of all those characters, it would have been mine. Because I'm already like looking over the couch, like trying to figure out what was going on.
Maybe, but also you're the one that brought up the idea.
That's true.
Yeah.
But isn't it just like, I'll use me as an example. Isn't it just like me to bring something up like that and then be like, well, now I'm mad?
I mean, I guess it's. I mean, I think it's fine to bring up an idea, and then it works for a month or two, and then you realize you don't enjoy it, and then that's when you have the moment of maybe this is when I leave the relationship, because beforehand you were just together, content, maybe not happy but content, and then you couldn't get yourself to just remove yourself, and then after going through all of it, you now have a reason to leave, and sometimes you need a reason to leave, and that's how you leave a relationship and start a whole new life.
What's funny is I'm pretty sure you said almost the exact same thing to me when we were shooting this, trying to figure out how it goes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I'll ask you Melia. I'll ask you the same question I asked him in the blog interview. Garrett said, for what film have you seen the most time in your life? He said Finding Nemo.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Mine is absolutely Pirates of the Caribbean.
You guys are your generation, I guess, right?
Yeah, we very much are. Yeah. I freaking love that movie. There's just something about the acting and the I could see this is I would talk about that film for hours.
The first one, not the sequels, but the first one.
The first one. I do love the sequels. I just think the first one, it's so funny. My dad is the reason why, because we didn't have a TV for the longest time, and he only had those. The OG laptop with the DVD insert, and he only owned 3 movies, and it was Pirates of the Caribbean 1, the second Star Wars prequel.
Okay, that's
interesting. Yeah. And then I think it was the last Lord of the Rings. So we had a trilogy, but it wasn't a trilogy of anything specifically. It was just the first Pirates, the second Star Wars, the third Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And so I just grew up watching the same 3 movies my entire life.
I also didn't have TV growing up.
Hell yeah, no TV crew.
But I watched Gilligan's Island, Alf, a lot of 70s, 80s.
Wow.
Explains so much about you.
That's my generation, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Alf, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, ours was Mork and Mindy in my house. That was the flashback for ours. And the Monkeys. Oh my gosh.
The Monkeys, yeah.
Monkeys were on all the time in our house.
Did you know they didn't even know how to play instruments when they made that series? They just picked they picked out the cutest boys or whatever, and then they started
learning.
They started teaching them how to play instruments and sing, and then they became a band afterwards.
And then eventually, I have way too much information on the Monkeys. Headquarters, their album, I think it was their second or third one, is the one that they're actually playing all their instruments. It took them that long to learn how to actually do it. I was a fangirl. That's fine.
That's the same production company that did Easy Rider. So they went from the Monkeys to Easy Rider.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's wild. I didn't know that. That's cool.
And then they did, Bob Raffleson was part of it. So he did a couple movies like 5 Easy Pieces. And then Nicholson was part of that group. And then they kind of crashed and burned through drugs. So they basically had a 5-year run where they did these amazing things, including the Monkeys, which made them a ton of money. And then they disappeared.
Wow. That's yes. No.
and then the Pirates, I'm just getting nerd alert, but in the Disney book, they have a big thing about the history of Disney, because pirate movies were dead, right?
Yeah.
The last 20 pirate movies were box office disasters. And then they gave Johnny Depp kind of carte blanche to kind of create this character to do what he wanted, right? So.
Yeah. And I just think it's incredible what they did. See, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about it. I love that movie so much, but I think it's incredible. They also used people who were so young for these roles. Elizabeth, Keira Knightley was only 17 when she did the first movie, which is crazy. And then, Orlando Bloom, I think, was 25 when he did the first movie. All these people, I grew up watching them, and...
We have an alum that was in Pirates of the Caribbean.
He was wasn't he a grip or something?
I think he was a pirate.
Oh, okay. Maybe he was a pirate.
He looks like a pirate.
He still looks like a pirate. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. But, no, it was just one of those movies where you just... Yeah. You study it over and over and over.
I like the second movie, though, because when they made the first one, they were then greenlit for the second and third. And it's not often you're greenlit for 2 and 3. So when they wrote number 2, they knew they had a third one coming out. So at the very end of 2, I think Jack Sparrow's jumping off the ship into a monster's mouth or something.
No, I
It's
think
the Kraken.
they shot the second and third at the same time, movie at the same time, right? They do that a lot, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's hard to write a giant cliffhanger when you don't know what third is coming out. But because they were greenlit for 2 in a row, they could do that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I could talk about this for hours. This movie.
And so why Garrett? Why Finding Nemo?
One, it was one of those things where I had the VHS, maybe it was on DVD. So I watched it a lot. I had the GameCube game, and then more specifically, my grandfather, he had a sailboat on Lake Michigan, and his neighbor's boat, they had Nemo. So every summer I'd go up there, we'd hang out with his neighbor's boat, and we'd watch Nemo. So I pretty much saw it every single summer for 5-6 years. That plus watching it at home.
Finding Nemo.
Yeah, it's
Right, so you got your to-do list behind you. So you're ready to make films.
Yeah, it's like the top half is leftover from 2024, so I'll knock that out hopefully in the end of January. And then I have all the other film competitions, YouTube videos I'm working on, and then client work. And on the other side is blank, because I'm sure as the year progresses, more stuff's going to come to me.
I'll bully you into
And then
doing
I'll-
a 48.
Have to fill out some more, yeah.
Gotcha. You say client work, so everybody's got to pay the bills, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I hope I'm scared of Los Angeles because it's like because I have a few employees who work there, and they're like who live there their whole lives, and they're saying there's like landmarks that they used to go to that they don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
The film industry is like they some of them are productions are still going on because like say they're in Burbank in the studio or something, but it's like I'm worried about the future. Then you guys supposedly have the Olympics in 3 years. I don't know how you're going to pull that off.
Unknown.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it's been. I feel like, and I mean, I'm sure you agree. It has been an incredibly difficult 5 years for the industry, and I've only been in the industry
Yeah,
technically
everything.
for 5 years.
COVID strikes and now the fires, right?
Yeah.
Literally, she moved here during COVID.
Or just before. Yeah.
I delayed my move here because of COVID. We
Yeah.
get here, the strike happens, that goes through, and then the fires, and it's like, it feels like there's always something making it harder.
Yeah.
I will say, I feel like every generation has its issues, especially coming into, the industry that we're in. It has just been a completely unprecedented time for the industry, and I'm a production assistant. That was my day to day for a while.
I did that job too. So for like 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, and that was how I paid the bills until we had our, of course, strikes and such. But it's interesting because a lot of the crew that I work with and just people around LA all kind of sort of talk about how right now it's just so drastically different than anything they've ever experienced. And people who have been in the unions for 30 years now are not getting any kind of work.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a lot of loss that comes with that, but there's a lot of creativity that's coming out of it as well. Because it's true though, because all of these creative people are now sitting at home going, how do I express this? How do I get out this need to create and be a part of what we were used to for so long? And so, stuff like THREEDOM comes out because your actor friend is unemployed, it's one of those things where it's just like,
that is true.
It is hard and it does suck right now to be just sort of sitting around waiting for Hollywood to kind of kick back into gear. But at the same time, it's been very cool to see, you create and then, people being willing to work on short films like the one I did in the fall. And it's just, it's been hard, but it's been kind of fun. I shouldn't say that like fun as in like, woohoo, we have no money, but like...
we have nothing to compare it to because we weren't here prior, so even if it does suck, to me it's just, that is what it is. That's
it's
normal.
just sort of where we're at right now.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Well,
Sorry, tangent.
what you just said, it makes total sense to me because during the strike, so many screenplays were written from I know they were because people were at home, able to be at home. So they're finally able to be, because sometimes you get in the grind, right? When you work in the industry is that you're like, you come to LA to be a filmmaker and then you make good money in the unions or whatever. And then 15 years go by, right? And it's like, oh, okay. And then
Great.
COVID happens and then strikes happens and it gives people And then at the same time, I've interviewed people like who are professional first ADs or whatever, and they're making short films now because for the first time in 20 years because of what you just described. So yeah, there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's also, I mean, I don't know if you've experienced the vertical conversation yet, but that's also one everyone's discussing. Verticals.
Like filming vertically?
Yeah, the verticals, all the stuff I've been doing. Oh my gosh, that's a whole other
That's what
debate.
you're doing, like acting wise? Vertical stuff?
Yes! There's nothing else going on!
Sorry, I don't know what, sorry, I'm like, it went over my head a little bit. What is you?
No, it's all good. There's just non-union work out here right now is something called a vertical, and it's literally groups of just companies that came out during the strikes and absolutely, I shouldn't say capitalized, but utilized the non-union world to their advantage, and now they're just making bank out here.
But
And
specifically
it's all
vertical videos.
It's all vertical videos.
Meaning mainly social media?
So it's all like it's their own apps. Each company has their own app.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like the way they're shooting,
Like vertical, yeah, it's like it's vertically shot to be on your phone, and each show it's shot in 9 days. They get 1 day off in that 9 days. They shoot it. It's all completely non-union, and then they basically shoot it. They edit it. It's usually up within a month. It's crazy.
In the style of a TV show?
In the style of like the most dramatic TV show you could ever think of. But they came out here during the strikes, and I know that's actually how a lot
Where
of
are people watching these?
well, I don't watch them because they're not my bag, but I'm acting in them.
I've heard that.
like
What'd you say?
like TikTok or like Instagram.
So they're their own entities. So it's Real Short, Good Short, Drama Box,
Wasn't
Okay.
there something called
those kind of things.
Yeah.
Quibi, listen!
Are they still around?
It's exactly what Quibi did. No, Quibi was my first show ever I PA'd on. I did something called Mapleworth Murders on Quibi when they started shooting vertically way back in 2019, and Quibi went bankrupt, crashed, burned.
Yeah.
And they deleted everything. And whomever these companies are run by saw the opportunity of like the lesser attention span or something that they were like clicking into and went, I'm gonna do that but non-union. And they did it, and it's working. And all of anybody who's acting right now is acting in verticals, and it's not, sorry verticals if you're listening to me right now, it's not the best like written.
No,
But it's
gotcha.
paying people's bills, and that's how actors are surviving right now. It's verticals, and it's just pages of casting calls for them, like nonstop.
That's amazing. That's interesting because I remember Quibi. It's like it was like $1 billion. They lost $1 billion, right?
They
Like
lost so much money.
yeah. And I didn't know they deleted everything, but it's like I saw it and I'm like, yeah, something's off here. Something didn't
Click.
really connect.
And I feel like right after Quibi left, TikTok exploded. So then I'm like at the grocery store watching TikToks in line. I'm like, this is exactly what Quibi was trying to do.
Yeah,
What's
exactly.
Yeah, and what's interesting about Quibi was, again, that was the first show I was ever a production assistant on, was Mapleworth Murders, and it was like an entirely SNL cast, written by SNL writers. It was so fun to be a part of and watch. But the problem was Quibi's episodes were 20 minutes long still. So it was still...
Not very quick.
It wasn't...
That's just normal TV show.
It was normal TV, but it was just vertically.
You just described though, but they're all SAG actors and like they're all like WGA writers, so they have to pay that salary, right?
Yes.
So these verticals, they're probably paying a writer like $50-100, whatever, right? So
yeah, I mean, I can't imagine because it's all non-union, so they can.
That's what I mean. So like, so the production value, like the production cost, just goes down considerably if you're not right. So yeah, it's the same thing that happened in all these other industries, right? Like the grocery industry with Walmart, and like they go non-union, they destroy the bigger stores. Yeah, it's just where we are in our society, right? So
Yep. It's
in a nutshell.
I feel like that's a whole debate in and of itself right now, is just the non-union versus union work going on.
All right. On that note, guys, you guys are amazing conversation. I appreciate you waiting for me, and best of luck in Los Angeles. Seems like it's let's just call it an interesting time.
Yes, very much.
And there's going to be a whole because of the Olympics in 3.5 years. There's going to be a major rebuilding happening because they have to, because the
Yeah.
whole coming to them in 3.5 years, right? So there'll be some interesting aspects that are going to occur.
Oh, absolutely.
I just hope
Really.
it's all good things that are rebuilt in a good way.
Yeah.
You never
I
know.
just see the construction workers coming to LA like in droves because they're going to need a lot of them. So
We're gonna need a lot of help, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of hoping that people are able to rebuild their homes and everything that in what's going on, I suppose.
all right, let's talk again with both of you when you guys make your next film. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, Garrett. Thank you so
sure,
much for
for
talking
sure.
to us.